Let's move on now to understanding secure attachment and how to create more of it. So if you look, you have a sheet here on secure attachment. It's called the 4 S's, the 4 S's. And this is taken out of one of my favorite books. If you do not have this book, I really highly recommend it. It's called The Sacred Attachment by Michael John Cusick. And he has a podcast that he does, and he has a couple of them I want to mention that are really good on marriage. I think it's episode 246 and 249. I really recommend that you listen to it either individually or as a couple, and then come back and kind of talk about some of it.
What were those episodes again?
Yeah, 346 and 349. Yeah, and this.
You said
246 or
3. Yeah, 346 and 349. One is with Dawn Adler, who's a psychologist. The other one is with a woman who clarifies a lot of interesting things. So they're very interesting. And then this is, Michael Cusick talks a lot about escaping spiritual exhaustion and trusting in divine love. So ultimately, our secure attachment comes from God, right? And when we have that secure attachment with God, then we can have that with each other. So a lot of this content is from this book. Yeah. And he has a really interesting story with sex addiction, drug addiction. I mean, he has an incredible story. So it's real interesting. All right, so let's go a little bit into the 4 S's. In relationship, we really want to have security, right? Like that is what we originally came to God for. Whether we knew it or not, we wanted a father who could really love us and be connected to us, and we could feel safe and secure. And a lot of us are set up in family of origin to not feel one or many of these: seen, soothed, safe, secure. And so in marriage, we can cultivate that and have some healing and repair from things that have happened in our childhood and in many things. So in terms of relationships. So the first one is that you are seen. So your partner in your relationship says, I see you. And there's just an ongoing spoken and unspoken message of I see you. And how does that happen? It happens through engagement. It happens through being attuned. It happens through knowing or being able to share your needs and your wants and hearing those and being able to work together to get those met. It's when I say attuned, it means, wow, I sense something's off and I want to pursue you. I want to know like what's happening for you, right? And it's being able to sense that you are accepted and known, and that you don't have any shame or any barrier with that those opportunities to bring that to your partner. You experience the delight of feeling loved, that you are celebrated in the relationship and cherished. You're giving the other person the time and attention that the relationship needs and the other person needs to feel that love. You value that time. You make it a priority in your life. Your thoughts, your feelings, your struggles, they matter. All of these are components to feeling seen. You feel soothed. I also like the word comforted, right? The comfort of the Holy Spirit. We can also gain that through good friendships, and particularly with our spouse. This is where your partner communicates, I've got you. You sense that they're available and responsive, right? Like they pick up the phone if they can when you call. They get back with you on a text in a timely way. They do things. I remember years and years ago when we had cell phones, and Tim was working, he owned a company called Training to You, a computer training company, and I remember I would, once in a while, I was coming home from some internship training I was doing, and I would try to get a hold of him, and his phone was dead. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, his phone is dead. I really need to talk to him right now. And so I asked him, I said, you know what, it's really frustrating for me when your phone dies. Can you please just make sure that your phone is charged up? And honestly, he fixed that. From then on, I never had a problem with it. I mean, that is feeling seen, soothed, comforted. Just those little things that your partner asks you to do. You can do them grudgingly or you can do them graciously, right? And I just encourage you to work on the components of being gracious and being conscientious and not allowing or working on some of the parts that may be impatient or right now my spouse is an inconvenience. Right? Because we all feel that sometimes. Oh my gosh, you're talking to me right now? This is so inconvenient. I cannot put my attention to you. Right? Versus, hey, I need a minute. I cannot absorb what you're saying. So I just need to have a boundary of give me 5 minutes or give me 10 minutes or can I finish this task? And this is interesting because a lot of spouses think that we can impose on each other's time at any time we want, when we want. And there is a time for that, right? An emergency, a crisis comes up, hey, I need you right this minute. But most things can wait 5, 10 minutes, even a half an hour. And I know Tim set boundary with me in terms of I have had a propensity at times in the evening to work a little bit and then get stuck on something in the computer. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated. I can't get this. Can you help me right now? I need this done. And he finally just said to me one time, like, and he's had to say it more than once, hey, look, after like a certain time in the evening, I just don't have the gas in the tank. I can't do this. And it was good for me to be like, I mean, it kind of was a little hurtful, like, I need you right then. But it was also good for my soul to just say, you know what, you can step back. If it's a really, really big thing, he'll step up and help me, but most things can wait. So being able to have that personal space and those boundaries is really a big component of, relationship. So let's see, what else? Vulnerability, dependence are welcome. You feel soothed, you feel comforted when you're going through something. Like your spouse has the ability to share their feelings about how they're feeling about what you're going through or what you're going through together, right? So you're not in it alone. So say there's something going on with the children. Us moms tend to take that in, right? We are impacted, we're emotional. By the way, we women are way more complicated than you guys. We're just, we... And sometimes that's just a relief to say that out loud, especially for guys. They're like, oh, thank God. I mean, because they're just simple. I mean, you just tell a guy what you need and want, and they just tend to be like, oh, great, thank you. I need a roadmap. Just let me know. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? I'll really try to comply. I'll try to help you out with that. But we're emotional, and so we can be all over the place. So just being able to be in her emotions with her, right? If she's scared, if she's fearful, if you as a guy think, oh my gosh, that is really not that big of a deal. Like, he will be okay. He's in 2nd grade. He's going to be whatever it is, right? Just go into it with her and like, hey, I understand your concern. I can see why that would make you anxious. I wonder, what do we need to do? How can we be in this together? How can I support you? What do you need and want? And so knowing what you need and want is a great roadmap to being able to help each other. So I'm going to go into a little bit of a tangent because I wanted to cover this, but I didn't really know where. But I'm going to do it right now about needs and wants. So we have needs and wants, right, in relationship. Some of us are more clear about what we need and want. I'm really clear about it. It doesn't take me too long to figure out what I need and want. I had a lot of practice at it. And every so often, though, I get thrown, like, what do I need and want out of this situation or out of this relationship or friendship? Go ahead.
You're using need and want together. Are those the same thing in this context, or are you going to differentiate?
That's a really great question that I'm actually going to ask Molly to answer because she describes this really well. Okay. She's the best at, like, go for it.
So I think about needs.
Speak loud.
Yes, no more librarian voice. Here we go. I think about needs as being more about that kind of essential self-care component. How do I stay alive? Pia Mellody writes about the 12 essential needs in life, one of which includes like a dental care. So I want you to think like maybe a little bit more essential, what's gonna help me really be able to function. And then wants are about life in abundance. So often we want to go, oh my gosh, yeah, Molly, just talk to me about the needs. That's what's essential. Everything else is frivolous. But actually, they're like, this is where I get excited. This is why she asked me to talk about it. Wants and needs are of equal importance because wants are, again, about life in abundance. And that's what the Lord wants us to experience. Oh, I get so excited about it. And you might notice a little bit of like bristling to that. If you recognize like, hey, I would rather just focus on my needs, and my needs aren't really that important. You might be quicker to minimize. That's going to create a cloudiness for your intrapersonal relationship, so how you care for yourself, but then also in your connection with your spouse. Because if you've got cloudiness about the value of your own needs, it's going to be harder to have that confidence to say, you know, I know that you really want some help with the computer right now, but I need to take a break and like eat a meal today. I had a relentless day and I want to give you that full attention, but I'm hangry right now. And my ability to have curiosity and compassion, way smaller. So I'm going to meet that need first and then come in and be with you. Or if we're talking about the element of friendship that you talked about in the beginning, recognizing maybe the needs are being met in the day-to-day partnership, but that playfulness and spontaneity that comes with good friendship, that's all about wants. Oh gosh, so like we have been meal prepping, we're doing really great with that, but you know what, tonight I kind of want something different. Can we go try that new restaurant together? Yeah, that's like out of the ordinary and about being in abundance. Does that help a little bit?
Awesome. I've never heard it described that way, and I love it.
Oh, me too. If you got more questions about it, I could talk y'all zero. But anyway,
Yeah, so we love needs and wants because if you know what your own needs and wants are, it makes the relationship so much easier in the partnership aspect of relationship. So it really falls a lot into friendship, but also partnership. Because if you think about a partnership, a lot of you guys are in that outside of your marital relationship, business-wise. A good partnership, you have to know what you need and want and be able to negotiate and compromise around those, right? And usually that's done without a lot of emotion. If you're in business, if you're a hothead, that doesn't go over so well. But if you are, hey, you know, this is what I need and want in this contract or in this component of the business, then it takes it out of the personal and into let's figure out a way how we can negotiate and compromise, because if somebody wins, then the relationship loses, right? I want to say that again. If somebody wins, then the relationship loses. So it has to be a mutual, okay, I want this and I want this, and we both have to come to the middle a little bit to lose a little for the relationship to win. So needs and wants, I work with a lot of people who don't even know what their needs and wants were, right? Mainly because of family of origin, their needs and wants were either shamed or neglected. So shaming as a kid might be like, hey, I really need a new pair of pants. And a parent might be like, what do you think? Money grows on trees around here? We don't have money for that. You get your brother's hand-me-down, right? That would be an extreme. There can be covert and overt shaming in family of origin, or neglect, right? Like, gosh, your shoes are too small and your pants are too high, and I'm a neglectful parent, I haven't noticed that, and you're not really that important, right? So then that sets us up for not really knowing and being valued and knowing how to ask for our needs and wants. So parents in here, I really encourage you to use that in your relationship with your children as they're growing, right? From a very little age, it's great to give them choices about their needs and wants with boundaries and deal breakers of like, no, you're not going to do that.
Can you give a quick example of what that sounds like?
Yeah, it might be, let's see, let's just say you have a 7th grader who's not doing that great in school. And they say, oh, I really, really want to be homeschooled. I don't like going to school. I hate school. School's hard. There's people there that aren't nice to me. There might be that, you know what, I really want to hear you about that. I really want to know, what do you need and want? Let's talk about options. Let's talk about, I hear your want and your desire for that. Let's see if we can meet some of those needs for comfort, for security, for safety in another way. What if I came and was your room mom once a week? Or what if I came and talked to the teacher? Can you think of any? You were in the school system. She was a Great Hearts counselor over all of them, and she's amazing.
I always think about, as the parent, you get to control the options. You get to control the options. And so that's part of where Kristen said, like, meeting needs and honoring what your sweet child is saying within boundaries. And so if that 7th grader was talking to me and going like, I want to be homeschooled, or let me just do online school, I would go, that's probably not the option that I'm going to give you. But let me give you some other options. So I really hear that. Tell me about what's going on with friends. I want to hear more. So again, kind of getting curious, tell me more. And sometimes we get to unpack that external need that's getting expressed is actually a reflection of some deeper needs. And so if we just meet that kind of surface level need, we're not getting to the heart of it. So asking questions like, tell me more. What is it that you hate about school? What are the kids like? What's the hardest part? And being in that with them sometimes can meet that emotional, deeper need. And then you recognize being able to get to the problem solving options of like, hey, do you want me to be there? Do we want to join a club after school to get more friends? Or gosh, that teacher kind of sounds like they crossed the line. As mom, I want to go and talk to that teacher. Are you okay with that? And then again, you're getting to engage at a deeper level instead of it just being like, hey, a need's expressed and I'm going to meet it. Really quick, because if we do that for our kids, we then inadvertently teach them any need you express needs to be met immediately. And that's kind of a setup for later in life. I have lots of needs and I have to learn to wait. And so if we teach them, oh, I know you really want to switch schools, let's try this year and see what we can do to make it better. And then if we need to have the conversation at the end of the year, we'll do that all together. Is that kind of a helpful example? Cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Love it.
Yeah, so working with needs and wants with kids and in our adult relationship, a great interruption in a conflict, and we're going to talk about conflicts and repair and stuff, a great interruption in a conflict, and I often ask myself this, is what do I need or want right now, right? Because sometimes we engage in conflict and we're not even really sure what we need or want. We just know our need isn't getting met and our want is not getting necessarily met. And so being able to say, hey, you know what? I really want you to understand right now what I'm trying to say. And it doesn't seem like you're getting it, and that's my need right now. So then, okay, we can come back and kind of unpack that. Or I really want you to recognize that you're working too hard and it's interrupting and interfering in our relationship. I'm not getting time enough with you. And so a lot of times we use roundabout ways to try to get what we need or want, looking for the result that we want, but getting it in the wrong way. Yeah. So needs and wants clarify a lot. And like Molly said, just because we have a need or a want, it doesn't mean we get it. It means that we get to negotiate and compromise around that, right? Like, I want to get a new car right now. What? I don't want to get a car for a year. And so sometimes the conversation can go on for weeks and maybe even months in a situation like that, right? But coming back to, and I'm going to touch on this as well, the unity of the Spirit, the bond of peace, right, in Ephesians, about we don't make decisions, especially big decisions, without really connecting and both of us being comfortable with that decision. Nobody gets to go rogue. Yeah. Okay, so safe. Let's go on to number 3, safe. Your partner communicates that I've got this. Right, so you protect from physical and emotional danger and harm. You protect the relationship in privacy and in public. And I love this because often and inadvertently, we can be embarrassed by our spouse doing something that exposes us in a way either privately or publicly that we weren't necessarily expecting. Right? Like before we came today, I ran a couple things by him and said, are you okay if I share some things, about our relationship if it comes up? And he's like, yeah, I'm good with that. Like what? Right? Yeah. And I didn't want to take him off guard and share something that would impact our personal relationship and impact the privacy in this context, right? So in privacy, how do you protect it? I would say this is sort of a private room here, but an even more private way that you would protect a relationship is like if you went out with another couple. If you had your children, like we have grown children, right? It could easily be, not protecting the relationship in your family or your family of origin, right? Like if you have an issue with your spouse and you say disparaging things to your mother or your brother or your sister or your best friend about it, and I'm all for intimacy and friendly relationships if it's done in the context of protecting the relationship. So, and then so publicly it would be, you're with a bunch of your friends and then someone makes fun of you and they think it, you might not have thought your spouse would take it personally, but it was embarrassing to them. So, and those things happen and we can go back and repair, right? Everything is repairable if we allow it. We are all human. We say stupid things. They come out of our mouth. I said that to him. I said, I hope something doesn't come out of my mouth that you didn't want me to say, but because we're human, right? And so we have to give room for that and be gracious about that.